first thing we're going to do is we're going to try and get you into the mindset of the main character. So we're going to do some stuff that may seem a little weird to you, but bear with us. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to close your eyes. Close your eyes. I know it seems weird. Imagine that the burden of life is put on you. You work for your family. You are their main source of income. Your burdens are yours alone, and all the burdens of your family are you. You work day and night to supply them with income. They put all of their trust in you. If you lose your job, if you slip up somehow, it is on you. It is your fault. You are nothing but a little worker for them. They don't appreciate anything but your job. Now, imagine if all that buildup of stress and hatred and resentment towards your family not only reflected on the inside, but reflected on the outside. Open your eyes. Take your mirror and turn it over. If you don't have a mirror, share with somebody beside you.
Oh, now I get it.
This is you. This is who you really are. It is reflecting you.
Please excuse this interruption. Boys Lacrosse game versus New Oxford has been postponed until April 18th. Players are to report to the locker room after school today and be ready for practice on the practice field this afternoon. Attention DPAC and musical participants. Feeling the post-musical blues, come to the Drama Club meeting after school Tuesday, April 12th in room 120. We will discuss the upcoming all-school talent show and field trip, and we'll be ending with improv games. Attention forensic team members, practice will resume this week. Practice sessions will be held this Tuesday and Thursday after school until 5:30 for all forensic team members. The Literacy Magazine Intervision staff will meet after school on Tuesday, April 12th in room 140. All staff members are urged to attend. Thank you.
Okay, look at yourself in the mirror. This is you. You're nothing but a bug anymore. The resentment and the hatred in your heart is now reflected in your outward appearance. Your name is Gregor Samsa, and this is your story.
So over here, your father, he's a man who, before you even became a bug, Mr. Samsa, he thought of you as one. You were that equivalent. He was never satisfied with your work, with anything that you did. And some ways to describe him were dominant, hardworking, austere, ungrateful, demanding, strong, and half-empty. His personality was very dominant, and he played a big role in Kafka's transformation. I mean, not Kafka, Gregor, I'm sorry. Mr. Samsa also was a man who was very structured. He was very to the point. So with his character, we decided to present the plot, the Tundu, to show what actually happened in the story in its literal transformation. So go to Tundu. That one. Okay, so the metamorphosis begins with Gregor. He is having a dream, and he is woken up. He doesn't know that he's a bug yet, but he's thinking about how he has to get to work. He's thinking about all the things he did, and he had a dream that he became a bug. And he woke up, and he has figured out that he is a vermin. And the weird thing about it is that Gregor, he doesn't really care too much the fact that he's changed into a bug. He just figures, all right, I have to go to work. I have to make the train because then I won't make my money. And if I don't go to work today, it will seem suspicious, as seen here. And his boss will not be happy because he has never missed a day of work in all his years, showing his dedication as a worker.
When he gets up, his parents are very upset to find him. His supervisor actually comes to his house to find out what's wrong with him. and he's trying to convince them. He's having like a mental argument with himself. He's fine, but he isn't. He's turned into a bug, but he thinks he's better. And so he spends his time trying to, a good portion of the beginning of the book is him trying to get out of bed and get to the door to face the situation.
So when he finally gets out of the door, they all realize what's happened to him, and as you can see, they're a little shocked. And obviously, for something into a bug overnight, you'd be kind of scared. But he gets out and he's trying to convince them that he has to get to work, and he can't let them down.
And this represents his father, this represents his boss, and this represents his mother.
Okay, and this part is Gregor wants to go to work. His boss tells him that he shouldn't, and he should never come back to work because who wants a bug working for them? And but Gregor knows that this is his main source of income for his family, so obviously he wants to go to work regardless of what condition he's in. And his father wants him to stay back, and he shows his father, like, I'm only doing it for you, I'm only trying to go to work for you to support the family, and his father does not respond to that, and he thinks that he totally like shuns his son, even though it's not his fault that he turned into a bug. He doesn't know why it happened. It's just that his father isn't understanding whatsoever.
Okay, at this point in the story, Gregor's transformation starts to become a little more full circle. He used to enjoy milk, and his sister, Greet, whom you meet, she is very kind to him. They have a very close relationship, and she offers him milk, which was his favorite drink, and he discovers that now, as he changed, he can no longer drink it, showing that his human characteristics are becoming less and less the more that he becomes a bug and the more that he's shunned away. And down here is a quote from the novel saying, "What a quiet life the family has been leading." He's locked in his room, and he is not out there noticing his family, but he can't imagine what's going on.
So he first goes through a little struggle with himself. He realizes he's a bug. He feels like he's just a burden and worthless. And he hides under the couch whenever someone comes in his room so they won't have to see him. And I put samplings of a lot of different foods that his sister brought him in. The only things he likes are like molded cheese, raw vegetables, and that sort of stuff.
So here you see his sister's the one who's pretty much taking care of him all this time. And as you saw, she's the one that brought in all the food that he likes now, and had to get rid of the food that I guess went bad when he didn't eat it. And she has to clean up after him and take care of everything that's going on in his room and clean his room.
And she's starting to get sick of it more as the story goes on, and she starts to regret Gregor's existence more and more. And that comes into play later in the novel, as you'll see then.
Okay. Gregor's mother at this point has had a lot of trouble with him transitioning. You know, this is her son. She loves him, and suddenly he's this frightening thing that nobody wants anything to do with. And she decided that his furniture would need to go because obviously he doesn't need it anymore. So at this point, they've kind of given up hope on him ever being the same way that he was, and Gregor's resistant to it because he thinks that he's just going to go back to the way he was. Hopefully he'll wake up and this nightmare will all be over, but that doesn't happen.
And another interesting thing is that when they take away all his furniture, Gregor seems really set on keeping his picture frame, and they never really describe it, but it's a portrait of a woman, and it sort of gives a symbol of a life that he had as a human that he's trying to hold on to really dearly, but he can't seem to because his human characteristics are diminishing. And at this point, you see that his sister is starting to get really upset, and she's starting to really build resentment. And you see that the mother, she is not coping well with Gregor's change, and she's spending a lot of time depressed and crazy. And Greet puts the blame on Gregor because he was the one who changed. So you can see here that even as she's getting food and things, Gregor wants to help his sister and be the human that he was, because he still has those human feelings and sentiments, but Greet and his mother do not see that.
Then the father comes home and he completely freaks out. He automatically assumes that the fact that Gregor's out of his room is a horrible thing. Gregor committed some crime, and he starts chasing him, sort of, except he's a bug, he can't move that fast, chasing him around the kitchen and throwing things at him.
So here you see that he has hit Gregor with an apple, and it actually gets lodged in his back, and nobody wants to touch him, so it just kind of stays there and rots. And you can kind of see it right there.
Okay, at this point in the novel, everyone's sort of in a strange mental state, like everyone's sort of going crazy in their own way. The daughter says that nobody can leave because they can't just leave Gregor, so they're all kind of stuck in this sort of prison. And Gregor himself is kind of stuck in the prison of his room. He can't focus, his mind goes in very different directions. He starts having sort of delusions, and he's angry that nobody really is even caring that he's becoming the way that he is. And at this point, the family has a housekeeper, and she comes into the room and says, "Look at that old dung beetle." And it kind of hurts Gregor's feelings a little bit, because he still feels like he has some feelings and stuff, and she's just like, "Look at that."
She only comes in
over there.
Okay, and at this point, there are 3 roomers that come that the Sampsons invite to, well, they don't really invite, but they come to live with them and like share space. Yeah. And they're very critical about how the junk in their room, they must go, we must have a clean room. So all that junk gets transferred over to Gregor, which is just a further representation of his status as a bug, and that he is nothing, and that there's just junk there to accompany him and nothing else.
At the next point, while his sister's playing violin, he comes out to hear the music because he's so moved by it, where actually he wasn't much before. But everyone sort of freaks out because he comes out of his room. He hasn't cleaned or been taken care of for all this time, so he's even more disgusting than a bug normally would be. So they sort of freak out. The father tries to get the roomers not to look at him, and they're sort of shocked that they've been rooming right next to something this horrible.
And here you see that, well, the rumors have kind of been discussed by Gregor, and they all just kind of storm off. So his family's, that's the last straw, because these rumors, they were a good source of income, and they're just kind of fed up with Gregor and how he just ruined their lives even more than he did before.
So Gregor, he decides to go to his room, and they don't really the book does not describe how he dies, but basically he just goes in his room and dies, and the morning of later he is dead.
Okay, and when they discover that he's dead, and the maid finds him, and she's just kind of indifferent about it, and Mr. Sampson orders the roomers to leave immediately, and they decide to get rid of the cleaning woman in the house.
And at this point in the novel, the family is moving on from the tragedy of the transformation of Gregor, and they are really progressing as a people. Like, they're thinking about their daughter and saying it will soon be time for her to find a good husband, saying that Gregor's death kind of made their family better. They were focused more on each other and more loving and caring, and they just had an overall better relationship with each other. And that it's sad that Gregor's hard work actually made the family worse, but his death actually brought on a better